The window sticker on this 2020 Hyundai Sonata says that the sedan is new again. Now, it's a bold claim to make, but I think Hyundai may have earned it on this one. This is a 2020 Hyundai Sonata SEL, and it comes in at around $30,000. I mean, just look at this. Not only is it reinvented in value with all sorts of new features on it that you wouldn't find on cars far more expensive, but it's also just a new car in the sense of design. We're going to take a look at this car today here on the channel. A big thanks to College Park Hyundai for letting us take a look at this vehicle. And if you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. All right, now let's get into it. And we're going to start up front because there is no way you can talk about this car without talking about just this dramatic redesign from the front. The first, just most eye-catching feature of this that everyone's talking about is this light right here. Your headlights are just absolutely insane. So basically, it starts down here and you have this LED strip. And you have another LED strip that connects right here, and it runs up and fades into this chrome. And it is just such a cool look. It's so dramatic. I can't think of another lighting feature that's more dramatic on any other vehicle. And this is a $30,000 Hyundai. So the way they accomplish this look is they actually have sort of a chrome strip laid on top of this light right here, and they progressively poked more holes in it as you go down. So there are lots of holes down here, and there are less and less holes up here towards the top, which creates this fading look, which fades into this chrome right here, and that actually continues along the side of the car. We'll take a look at that in a second. Just the rest of your headlight housing right here, you have all LEDs. It looks very sharp. I like how they have these little black pieces in there. I think that looks really, really good. Looking up at your hood, you have these two creases right here. These body lines right here are very small, but they're very sharp, very edgy, and they give almost a muscle car look, a muscle car bulge to the hood. I really like that. I think that is a very, very cool design, especially on a car like this. It's not too dramatic, and it's not like trying to make a non-sporty car overly sporty, but it does add sort of a stronger touch to a car that otherwise wouldn't have that sort of touch. So I think that looks really good and sets it apart from other competitors in this segment. Looking down here, some people have said this looks kind of like a catfish. I would agree with that. I do like how it slopes. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I like how this is not just your traditional hexagon or whatever, or traditional oval. I think that Hyundai kind of came up with their own cool little shape here. I think that looks really, really neat. If I had one complaint about the front, it would be the amount of fake vents, like right here on the side. I don't like that. But you know what? If that's my biggest complaint, the rest of this vehicle on the front just looks so incredibly good. You have a little bit of a splitter down here or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what to call it. It's not quite a splitter, but it's kind of like a lower lip to the bumper, I would say. And I think that contrasts really nice with this quartz white paint. Now, you can also get a look at the black roof here. With this black roof and white paint, Cole thinks it looks kind of like a Panda. I just think it looks really sharp. Now, coming to the side, first of all, this is where your lights fade into that chrome I was talking about. This is called the Infinity Lasso. This chrome strip that runs all the way down the side of the car, loops around here, and then comes right back. I think this is a very cool, unique look. This is definitely something that the Sonata could be known for if Hyundai keeps this up. This could be a very distinctive feature, and they have made it clearly a big feature of this car. I really like that. Looking down here at your rims, there's a lot going on. I'm not sure what to call them or how to describe them, but you have two tones of silver in them, just all sorts of different triangular shapes, very strong angles, and I really like that. Another place you're gonna find strong angles is the body lines in the side of this vehicle. You have two in particular, one on top here on the bottom as well. They are very strong creases, and the one on the bottom especially interests me because it starts very, very strong, kind of fades out, the bodywork becomes flat, and then once again it starts to crease up again towards the back. I think that is a very, very cool look, how they almost have a modulation of the width of the body line. That is something very unusual, and just the work they've done with the body of this car is incredible. Looking at your door handle right here, you have a chrome top with that white quartz paint. This white quartz paint has just some very nice flecks in it. It really glistens in the sun right here. I hope it's showing up on camera. It's a very nice white paint. Just to give you an idea of how insane the body lines are in this car, I want to show you the gas cap. We'll try to get a closer up clip of it, but the gas cap this body line runs through it, so the gas cap, when you open it, is almost like jagged, the door to it. And it just gives you an idea of how dramatic the bends and the creases in this metal are. So really, this is a very, very, almost, it's on the level of iconic design. This is shaping the way that cheap cars look. No more boring cars. This is changing the game. Looking at your rear 3/4 area, again, this is just such a nice looking area, far more dramatic, almost showman-like, way more than any other sort of economical sedan. Looking at this body line right here, I really like how it widens out and it meets the taillight perfectly. That shows really nice coherency within the design. That's something Hyundai does really well, is coherency within their designs. Just blending the interior and the exterior designs, you know, this lasso, blending it with the lights. They do coherency very well in their vehicles. Looking at the roofline right here, I really like the slope. It has a nice gentle slope to it, almost like a Sportback, but this is a sedan. It looks very nice. I like that look. It gives it a much classier look. Very, very nice. Something else to know is you have these 3 little reflectors on the side, which actually match up perfectly with these 3 little lights on the rear of the vehicle. So that's just a very nice design. And let's move on to the rear of the vehicle now. Looking at the rear of the vehicle, it has some really nice design elements back here. First of all, I like how they spread out the name Sonata in the middle of the vehicle instead of just sort of relegating it to a little corner like most vehicles do. Let's talk about your lights. That's probably the main feature back here. First of all, it just wraps around. You have this big light bar right here. Light bars are what are in right now, so it's expected that a lot of new models are going to have it. The Sonata has it, and I think they have done it very well. I like how well it's integrated with your taillights right here, and it sort of makes this big U shape. I think that looks really cool. What's even cooler is there are these little crystals in here. If you look closely, you can see there are lots of little crystals in these rear lights. The craziest part about this is you would think you could only see the crystals from the rear if you look closely, but you can actually see them if you move to the right angle while at the back of the vehicle. You can see them through the top of the light. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but you can actually see the crystals through the top of the light. It is a very crazy look that I have never seen in another vehicle. You have these little these little pieces right here that jut out of the lights. I think those might just be for some sort of aerodynamic gain or something, but they look kind of sporty, I guess. And you also have a little bit of a lip right here on your trunk. Just the rear of this vehicle looks so clean and elegant. I think elegant is the word for the rear of this vehicle. Looking here at the rear of the vehicle still, just something to notice down here, you have sort of your white paint encased in this black right here. I think it makes for an interesting look. It kind of reminds me of a spaceship, not sure why. Also, your exhaust on this vehicle look a little funny. I'm not sure what it is. It's like sort of like a hexagon split down the middle. Kind of strange, but you know, it's not a terrible thing. Let's talk about your cargo space. I'm gonna open from the key here. You just hold your button on your fob, opens right up. You're gonna find about 16 cubic feet of cargo space back here, which certainly isn't bad. Under the hood, you have 2 available engines for the Sonata. There's a 1.6 liter 4-cylinder. This one has the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, which is gonna make about 191 horsepower and about 181 pound-feet of torque. You can expect about 27 miles to the gallon city, about 37 highway, which is gonna give you about 31 combined. A very impressive engine that should be plenty capable for anyone driving this vehicle.
So now that we are in the interior of this Hyundai Sonata, the interior, although very updated, is not as dramatic as the exterior is. It is very nice though. You have a lot of nice materials. You have this really nice chrome, kind of like on the outside, extending along your steering wheel here, along the center console, wrapping around a lot of things. You have this nice strip going all the way to the end on that side, and you have this really nice attention to detail and consistency with this chrome strip. If you look at it, it is very similar to the infinity lasso we see from the headlights, and I think that's a really neat touch. I like how Hyundai did that. You do have a lot of leather on the steering wheel. You have leather seats. It's very nice. You do have some hard touch here and on the bottom here, but you know, it's $30,000. You can't expect leather everywhere, and what they did do very right. The only thing I don't like in this interior is the amount of piano black. It's all along the center console here where you're going to be touching your drive gear selects here. You know, piano black is very nice when you get it at the dealership. It's nice and clean. It's nice and crisp. Really, you know, there's no dust on it or anything. You drive the car for a week, boom, it's covered with dust. You have to clean it every 2 weeks. Yeah, piano black is fine. It just has to be in areas where you're not touching a lot, and this is literally all in areas where you're touching a lot, especially here in the AC vents. That's the only thing I do not like about this interior, but besides that, Hyundai did an absolute fantastic job. This specific Sonata we have today is $30,000, but it starts at $26,000, and a big selling point, it has a lot of included features. So I'm going to show you what's included, and then I'm going to talk about some of the packages this specific car has. Included is LED lights with automatic high beams. You have a hands-free trunk, as Jake showed you earlier. You just hold down that button and the trunk pops up. You have heated seats, which is really nice. Dual climate, and then you also have keyless access with push-button start. So in this $30,000 car, you have a $1,800 option, which is the premium package. That gives you a nice Bose sound system with 12 speakers and a 9-inch subwoofer. It sounds really good. You also get leather seats with that and a heated steering wheel. You also have an $1,000 convenience package, which isn't much. Like $1,000 for all these features. It's a very good deal. Hyundai really kills the value. 12.3-inch instrument cluster. You have wireless charging. You have a leather-wrapped steering wheel. And interestingly enough, you have two features in the back that gets added. First off, you have a second air vent, and then you also have a charging port in the back. Kind of interesting how Hyundai included the stuff in the back as well. So here, looking at your center stack, as I said before, you do have this piano black all over the place. That's already getting a little dusty, and it's at the dealership. I do like these buttons here they feel good to click. I like how Honda did it a little bit better, because Honda made the texture of the buttons, the feel of them, different. So even if you were just going, like, not looking at the buttons and putting your finger over them, you could tell which gear you're going to select. But you know, it's whatever. I like this big space here. I really do. You have your wireless charging and a bunch of USB. You have your cigarette charger there too. I like that. I like kind of how you can just kind of throw stuff in here. It gives this open, you know, cockpit kind of look. And then something to note about this whole cockpit is it's all kind of driver oriented. Like in a sports car, you know how everything is just twisted towards you? This is also. I like that. These cup holders, very nice. Beside them, you kind of have this smooth hex pattern. I really like the look of that. And something else I really like the look of is this climate control. One thing I wish though is that these LED lights here would be a little bit brighter. They look kind of dull, they look a little bland, but besides that, everything feels really nice. I mean, these climate control vents are very smooth, very responsive. These buttons feel really nice to click. It's very simple and very intuitive, and I really respect that Honda did that. Moving up, your air vents, they look very nice. I like how they have this little chrome tip. Looks really cool. Moving up once more, you have your instrument cluster. Remember, this is the upgraded one. That's 12.3 inches with that convenience package. Again, very nice knobs to twist, you know. Kind of relating this car to Audi in a way. Everything feels nice to touch. The doors felt really solid when I shut them. Those are stuff that I find in an Audi car. And for $30,000, that is very, very impressive. Hyundai did a very good job. In the actual instrument cluster, there's not much to it. It's very simple. It's decently responsive from side to side, but when you click on something, it does take a couple seconds. So that's a little bit, you know, iffy. This is an interesting thing. It's a driving info, almost like it's a sports car. It has like speed distribution and what percent you're on, acceleration, deceleration. I don't really understand why they have that. I find that a little bit pointless for a car like this, but you know, it's nice that they do. Besides that, you just have your standard things. You have Bluetooth link, your owner's manual, your radio, your phone. Something I do like here is it does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and with these two things here, these are called widgets, and you can configure them from this menu. You can say what you want on each of these sides. Right now we have radio and media selected here. I really like that. So now that we're looking at the steering wheel of the Sonata, I really like this little gap here and how this chrome strip kind of comes up under it. But besides that, you know, a normal looking steering wheel, not too much to say. I kind of wish this leather wrapped kind of went on the middle here, because you kind of have this ugly grainy texture that I don't like too much, and these buttons kind of look bland as well. But you know, it's okay. Moving on though to this center gauge, I think they look really nice. I think they're very crisp. I like the light blue mixed with that white. I think it's really clean looking. And I like how everything is very easy to see. You have that miles per hour in the center of your gauge there. You have your fuel, obviously, you know, your RPMs on the right along with your oil temperature. And something very interesting to note though is when you change the drive modes over here, Jake, if you could change them up one. So that's normal. You change it up one more, it has that really cool graphic into sport. I really like that. It's really neat. Everything turns red and aggressive because you're going to be driving fast. And then if you go up one more, it kind of has a nice little graphic into custom. And this can be whatever. This is also called individual in some other cards. You could have your steering in sport while your engine could be in just normal or eco mode, stuff like that. Moving on, this very center part, you can configure just the different normal stuff. You know, you have this very interesting thing, attention level. This basically, I think, reads off of maybe how many times you take your hands off the steering wheel or how many times the safety features kick in. That's very interesting. I'm not quite sure how that works. Tire pressure with this neat little graphic, and then you have your drive mode. Right now we're in custom. You put it down one Jake, it'll change in the sport again, just stuff like that. So looking at the roof of this car, I really like it. It's got this nice moonroof here. This is a $1,000 option. Something interesting to note is that with this option comes LED interior lighting. Now I can't find any mood lighting in this car, and so I'm pretty sure the only other LED lights in the interior are these right here. So it's interesting how these two interior lights come along with this $1,000 power moonroof option. Another thing I wanted to note is the tan roof here does not look that great. It looks like the old Sonatas. It's kind of hard. It has this weird grainy texture to it. I don't like it. You know, we were just in a Palisade and that had a nice kind of plush roof. I wish they could have done something like that, or maybe just something that doesn't look it's just as kind of like gross and old and tan like this one does. One last thing I wanted to note are these neat little side things on the steering wheel here. This crystallized texture is very similar to the taillights, and I think Hyundai did that on purpose. It feels very nice to twist around, and I really like how they have that consistency throughout the car. Just like with the side here and the infinity lasso, it looks really neat, and I like how they did that. Overall, a fantastic interior for $30,000. You have a lot of neat features, and Hyundai did a great job, and it complements the exterior nicely. So on the passenger side, I just wanted to note some quirks like Doug DeMuro would. First off, you only have manual seat adjustment from the side here, unlike the driver's side where you had power adjusting, but I do find that common on other cars. One other thing I wanted to note is I already talked about how the center console is kind of shifted towards the driver's side. Because it's slanted like that, they have this extra space. So what they did is they fit in this nice little cubby here that could hold a phone or some other things. I really like that. And then one last thing I wanted to note is if you look here, if you're gonna pull this door in, you're not gonna pull this, right? What are you gonna reach for? Hyundai had this nice design where this interior thing right here, right next to the armrest, is like a pull door thing. So, see you, Jake. So in the back seat of this Sonata, not too much to say. As I said before, with that one package, you do get rear vents and a charger USB. That's very nice. Besides that, not much to say. You know, you have your leather seats again. You have a ton of leg room. You have nice leather seating here for your armrest. I really like that, and I kind of like how it slopes up and kind of matches the front slope of the front seat armrest. I really like that. All right, wrapping up this video on this beautiful, beautiful 2020 Hyundai Sonata. We were honestly at awe when we first saw this thing. We saw pictures online, we saw videos online, but in person, it is a whole nother beast. It is actually so beautiful. This is honestly the best refresh of any car I've ever seen, and I really, really respect Hyundai for doing this. It's big for Korea as a whole, honestly, because Hyundai used to suck, honestly, and it is really turning around. They just invested $50 billion in their North American Hyundai just for incentives and other things like that. So they are selling huge. The College Park Hyundai, big thanks. They said that they cannot even get enough vehicles because they are selling them so fast. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Please, please, please check out the new 2020 Hyundai. It blowed us away.